Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Merriman here, coalition builder and founder of Bring Humanity Together. Yes, I am mobile yet again because my wife is getting off at 4 o'clock today, so I have to be ready and raring to go after the call to be able to take her out to the movies tonight. So it's going
Nice.
to be date night, so it's going to be a great day for me and my wife. And again, thank you everyone for joining our Bringing Humanity Together live stream. This is one of the three open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella where people can discuss topics related to the workplace and humanity in the workplace in a very positive, constructive way. We want to know what the issues that are out there that are facing people today because it's our goal, our mission, purpose, and our passion. I'm a little tongue tied today. Why? I don't know. Well, but it's our goal, like I said, to both work with employers and employees to bring humanity back into the workforce. And we're always, we'll be going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all at 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, which is now standard time because now the clocks went back. So it is going to be at Eastern Standard Time. So just remember, everybody, we have a 15-minute meet and greet from 2:45 to 3, and the call will start at 3 o'clock. And as always, Miss Sandy hosts Sharon Care with Sandy on Tuesday. I host Conversation for Humanity on Wednesday. And Miss Carla hosts Humanity Happy Hour on Thursday. And as you jump on, whether it be on our LinkedIn Live, which is my personal page, or on our YouTube channel, or on our business page on Facebook, please feel free to comment in the chat where you're actually watching from or jumping on from. And if you want to share this with people that you know, please share it with everybody else. And if you even take a chance to do or watch a replay of this, use the comment hashtag replay and let us know where you're watching from. So we'll go to Miss Sandy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Chris. I actually got my dinner organized earlier this morning, and Yale's not coming home
Oh,
for.
you got to tell me what's on for dinner now. What's for dinner?
Okay, what I made for dinner was I made a meatloaf with chicken, ground chicken,
Chicken
and
meatloaf? I never heard of that.
chicken meatloaf, and we're gonna
Nice.
roasted veggies and roasted potatoes. And I've already
Nice.
set up a dessert plate that has some chocolate on it and some grapes on it. Hi, Carla. And a brownie. And the brownie, I make these brownies, but I get the mix at Costco. It's the Ghirardelli mix. So the chocolate in the brownies is Ghirardelli chocolate. So they're really
Oh,
good.
nice.
Yeah, they're really good.
I
And
can
the,
taste them now.
and the boxes are huge. There are 5 packages in each box. So I usually make one like 9 by 9, and the other two I make in a 9 by 13 pan, and then I cut them in half. So I end up with 5 packages in my freezer. So when I go to Costco, I usually buy a couple of those boxes. Yale
Yeah,
loves them,
nice.
so you know. And actually, a lot of the service guys that I've had at the house doing different things, I give them a piece of brownie. They're so excited. They want to come back. So they want more.
What can I break?
I want more. I want more.
Well, when we were doing the blinds, Chris, they had to come twice. So the second time they came, Quincy said to me, "Have you got more of that brownie?" And I said, "Sure, I'll give it to you later."
When you're done.
My furnace guy, it's the same thing. He's been coming here for years, so he knows that I always have brownies in my freezer. So when Alberto and Dom come, they go, "So, you got brownies?"
You're the brownie lady.
It's okay. You know what? I don't mind giving them treats. They work hard, and I think that it's nice to reward them with something. And all the people that I have coming to my house have been recommended to me by my contractor. And Barry only uses really good people. Like if I need somebody, I always call him because he will not use someone who isn't really good. Like the electrician he uses and the plumber he uses, and all these people, they're always really good. Sometimes Barry comes himself and he'll do it.
That's a valuable thing to have in your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been a client of Yale's for years. I mean, we've known him for 35, 40 years. And
Wow.
he's really good. And like when my washing machine died, Chris, I phoned Barry to ask him where I should get it. And he said, "I've got a contact at Coast. I'll come and pick you up and take you there. I'll make an appointment for us." So
They want brownies.
So
They want brownies.
Barry does
They
too.
ain't stupid.
Yeah. So, I mean, what was really good was that I got like the contractor's price for my machine because Barry took me. So, that's also good. But he's a very nice fellow. And he's very reliable, and I trust the people that he sends over to me. Like, you can have a plumber in your house and they can really screw things up. So the last time I had a plumber here, it was actually the son of the guy who owns the business. So I said to him, so did you learn everything from your dad? He says, oh, yeah. So I gave him a list of things that I wanted him to do, and he did them all. And he was very careful. He cleaned up after himself, and he took off his shoes at the door, and, he wore a mask. I mean, that's good service. And, I told him, I said, get your dad to phone me. I'll tell him what a good job you did. He said, really? I said, sure, tell him to phone me.
Nice.
You need that,
Well, you know what? I think that a lot of people complain, but they don't necessarily do something nice if somebody does a good job. And I like to do that. Like there's a couple of guys at TELUS, which is the company that I have my cell phone with and one of my email things. And most of their guys are awful. They're just really horrible. But there's two guys there that I really like, and I have their business cards. And one of them, whenever I have an issue, I just phone Marty. I phone him directly. I have his cell number. I said, do you mind that I bother you? He goes, no, it's not a problem. You phone me anytime you want. So I recommended him to somebody else, and they couldn't believe how good he was, And so after about the third time that he came and did something for me, I said, do you have a manager? He goes, yeah. I said, send me his email. He said, why? I said, because I'm going to tell him how good you are. He says, you are? And I said, yeah. I said, why would you do that? I said, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
He needs to know that you provide very good customer service and that you're very good at your job. He should know that. He said, oh, well, thank you so much. I said, no problem. I'm happy to do that. Because, I think the manager should know when they've got somebody in their group that does a really good job and is really good to the customers.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of these people they're not. They're just, ugh.
Well, when I talked to a nail salon, and I was talking to the girl that was a receptionist at the front desk, and I said, oh, are you a technician there or what? Because, I just work the front desk. And I said, you realize how important your position is? Because you're the first person that they encounter. And if it's not a good encounter in that first 10 seconds, they're not coming back.
Yep.
It's
That's
just
right,
I never thought of it that way.
You better.
More important job than the nail people, because if they don't get past you because somebody got pleaded them, they're not going to get their nails done.
Exactly. Exactly right. It is. That's why a receptionist in a medical office or a dental office, I mean, it's very important that they are nice to the patients and they're pleasant and they call them by name and, all those different things, because otherwise people are not comfortable. And it's very important that the greeter make them feel welcomed.
So where are you hanging out today, Chris?
I'm actually at Zaxby's because my wife will be getting off at 4 o'clock today because it's going to be date night tonight because we're going out to see a movie.
Oh, good. What are you going to go see?
We're going to go see Eternals.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've seen that advertised on TV.
What's the name of it?
Eternals.
What's it about?
It's from the Marvel comics.
Yeah.
It's based on the Marvel franchise, so it's about a bunch of these super beings who can literally save the world at any given moment, but their purpose was not really directly set forth with that. I want to kind of give it away, but when you see the trailer, you'll probably watch it a little bit more. It's got Salma Hayek in it. It has Angelina Jolie in it, and there's a couple other great people in it too as well. But those are the two main stars that's in the movie.
You're muted, Carter.
You're on mute.
You're muted.
Sorry. I was trying to get rid of some of the feedback. I don't even know what movies are out there anymore. We don't go to a lot of movies.
We don't go to movies either. If we watch movies, we watch them on Netflix. Like, says to me, do you want to watch a movie? I said, oh, are we going into the den? He goes, yeah. Get the popcorn.
Yeah.
And Sarah's got the
Anyway, but
popcorn.
usually my husband's falling asleep, so what's the use, you know?
Oh, no, Yale doesn't fall asleep watching movies. He falls asleep reading books.
Oh, yeah. My husband will fall asleep with the remote in his lap. I don't have control of the remote in my house. And I'll be hearing a program, and then I'll just see the menu. And I said, so what are you looking for? Oh, I'm just watching this, that, or the other. Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So how you doing, Sarah?
I'm not too bad. How are you?
Hey, Sean.
Doing good, doing good.
Good.
So are you bringing the popcorn? Because evidently we're watching Netflix.
How are you?
That's what Sandy says. We're watching Netflix.
I do like popcorn though, if that helps. And I don't know what your favorite is out there, but my favorite is salt and sweet together.
Okay.
Love it. My absolute favorite.
I buy the popcorn that we eat. I buy at Costco. It comes in a bag about this big,
Wow.
Oh, really?
We don't have anything that big, I don't think, here.
so it lasts a long time.
It wouldn't here, but yeah.
Do you keep it in the freezer?
No,
Sorry.
I don't keep it in the freezer. I keep it in my pantry.
Oh, okay.
I have a pull-out pantry, Carla, where I have my flour and sugar and canned goods and oil and all that stuff. I've got 3 shelves that pull out.
And 1 shelf for the popcorn.
I just put it on top of the baking stuff.
By the sounds of things, Sandy, you need a pantry just for the popcorn.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say that, Sarah. I knew you were going to say that. Popcorn shelf, nothing but popcorn.
Yeah.
You got your garlic butter. You will have your buttery. I've even heard, like you said, about the sweet and salty. They made that kind of popcorn, sweet and salty.
Oh, like the kettle corn?
Yeah. My wife loves that.
Oh, really?
My favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I also have storage in my garage. I've got a big filing cabinet in there that I keep stuff that doesn't fit in the house. So I have extra canned goods in there, and I have bags of chips in there, and other things that when I need them, I bring it into the house. But
You're ready for any emergency.
Yeah, exactly. I have water in there too, bottles of water, and I have stuff out there.
Yeah, I know someone who has that as well. It's like their house, their garage. It looks like a supermarket. It has every spice you can think
Oh
of,
my word!
and
Are you
it's like
kidding?
floor to ceiling, just complete, full
Oh
of
my word!
various food. I mean, like if we ever, like we've had the recent lockdown, I mean, they would have been well together,
Not only that, I've got shelving on 2 sides of the garage. So one side it has all tools and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The other side I've got toilet paper and paper towels.
Yes,
bulbs.
Now I
it's
know
not
why
the
they
same
use
house.
toilet paper.
I think it's the same
all
house I'm
sanitized.
referring to.
Well, I mean, I have some of that stuff in the house, but I when I go to Costco, I always buy a lot of things and I just store it in the garage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we only go to Costco every few months. So I make a list, and it's because there's certain things I like to get there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go shopping without a list. I don't think I could trust myself.
I don't go without a list either.
Yeah, I'm useless.
Well, thank you, ladies, for joining me today on this another roadshow edition. And yes, the electric's okay. The electric's fine. It's the house has got power to it. It's just today's one of those unique days. But I want to start off with this great video from John C. Maxwell about change. It's done from some time ago, but it actually was posted in 2021 in April. But what he gets to is about adding value to other people and change your life. So I'm going to start off with this video and let it take. It's going to be almost like 7 minutes. But again, John C. Maxwell always brings the value each and every single time we have him on. And I wish we could have him on live in person. That would be even phenomenal.
Fabulous.
Yeah, that would be fabulous. So here's John C. Maxwell about adding value to other people and change your life.
How many of you are ready for the best year? Best year you've ever had. I mean, we're ready for it. And what I'm excited about is I'm going to share with you how to have your best year. In fact, I'll guarantee it. If you'll just do what I'm about to share, it's just going to set you up for an incredible best year. Some of the most beautiful things in life are just simple things that if we do, it just tweaks us and makes us live an incredible, better life. And so I'm very excited about sharing with you. So here's the secret of making it a great year. Every day, serve someone. Every day. Every day, add value to people. Every day, serve one. Every day, live the intentional life of doing for others, sometimes what they cannot do for themselves. And if you will put people first and add value to them and serve them, it becomes absolutely amazing what you and I are going to have and achieve, how we're going to help people, and in return, how it comes back to us. Benjamin Franklin said this: "No one is useless in this world who lightens the burden of someone else." If you're helping someone else lift a load in your life, you become a very useful person. Mahatma Gandhi said that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. But perhaps on this kind of a theme, my favorite quote is from Albert Schweitzer, who said, "I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I do know. The only ones among you who will be really happy are those who have sought and found how to serve." Well, he's right on. The happiest people are not always the most successful people, but they're the ones who serve the best. I've met a lot of unhappy, successful people, haven't you? But I've never met an unhappy person that gave their life for serving and giving and adding value to other people. Martin Luther King Jr. said, everybody can be great because everybody can serve. Only one time in the Gospels is it recorded that Jesus said, "Follow me and follow my example." Only one time. And that's when he was washing the feet, serving the disciples. And I just want to talk to you today about how you and I can just intentionally begin to do this, okay? In my younger years of forming myself as a young leader, I kind of thought that what leaders did was get everybody to join their team and, cast the vision. And so that's what I was doing. And then in about 27, I heard Zig Ziglar say, who became a great friend of mine. Zig said, "If you will help people get what they want, then you'll receive everything that you need in life." And when I heard that, I thought, I've got this turned around. I need to focus on people. I need to put others first. And if I help them, then all the stuff that I'm going to need, I'm going to get as a return. And about the same time, I read a book by Eugene Habacher called The Other Side of Leadership. And Eugene said in his book, "The true leader serves people and their best interests. True leaders are motivated by loving concern rather than personal glory." So if Jesus were here and we would say to him, what's important, what he would say to us is, he would say, valuing people is important. And not only valuing people, but serving people. When you biblically begin to understand serving people, there are three things that you kind of understand and come to grips with. Number one is that a servant puts, first of all, service over status. If you're going to really serve people, you got to forget yourself. Now, I know a lot of people, they're the exact opposite. They're full of themselves. And when you're full of yourself, when I'm full of myself, it's all I can think about is me. And the moment that it gets there, it's all of a sudden everything's going to be centered about who I am, where I am, what's happening to me. And we all have to fight that because we all are basically selfish. We're born selfish. One of the reasons why living an intentional life is so important is if we are not intentional, we will be selfish. We got to work at it. What can I do to serve people instead of, I wonder who in this next year is going to serve me? We're going to have to do a complete mind shift in that whole process. Service over status. But a servant, secondly, puts character over comfort. In other words, they do the right thing, whether they feel like doing it or not. You know, there are two kinds of people. There are the people that do what is right and then feel good, and there are some people who want to feel good before they do what is right. And if you want to feel good before you ever do what is right, you and I'll not do a lot of things right, because we'll let our emotions control it. But the moment that we say, no, I'm going to do the right thing, and then I'll let the emotion follow. Character over comfort. Don't rely on position or title. You see, I learned a long time ago, if you're good, you don't need an introduction. And you can't tell you something, if you're bad, a great introduction won't help you. Value people. And that's the foundation of everything we're talking about. If I don't value people, I'll never add value to them. I'll manipulate them. I'll do all kinds of bad things. But it all begins with valuing people. Believe in people, value people, unconditionally love people. If you'll just do those three things, you'll have an incredible ministry. The moment that we really have a desire to add value to other people, our whole life will begin to change.
Now, isn't that amazing?
Everything he does is amazing.
You know, it's so true. It's a matter of how do you make people feel? And if you can make them feel valued and feel good, then you're going to get a whole lot more from them. So again, it's not rocket science, but it's a matter of, you know, putting yourself in somebody else's place and not just worrying about you and thinking about you all the time, which is what most people do. He's right. Most people are self-centered.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not a matter necessarily of getting more out of people. It's no matter what, you leave people better. Who can you serve today in whatever simple way it is, and not expect anything in return from it?
So I got to ask you, ladies, since this is the theme of this week's calls, how's that in relationship to change? What does that look like when it comes to change?
I think that if you're going to help somebody change, Chris, you need to value them and support them and encourage them. And if you do that, then you have a better chance that we can maybe change them a little bit. But if they don't feel supported and encouraged, then that they matter, then why would they bother? Because as I've said before, human beings by and large do not like change. However, change is good. And the reason change is good is because it makes us learn new things and move forward. And that's something that's very important for the human brain. We've got to keep challenging it to open new neural pathways so that our brain stays healthy. And if we're not willing to change and learn, we're going to be standing still and get left behind. So that's not really a good thing to do. Doing right is completely subjective, and what he offers is just the world according to Maxwell, but not how the world is. Well, that's probably true, but it doesn't mean that it can't be, because it's a matter of being intentional about helping other people. And I think when you help someone, it makes you feel good. And over and above helping that person and making them feel good, it's something that's really good. That's why volunteering is good, because you're usually helping people less fortunate than yourself. And it's a wonderful thing to do. I mean, in my family, my grandparents were great volunteers and my parents were great volunteers. And so I've just learned that that's something that you do. And it's something that I've probably done thousands of hours of volunteer work. And you know what? It's another way to learn things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, a lot of people, I mean, we're volunteering our time right now for this because we believe in the mission. Everybody thinks about, okay, how can I start my year off right? Is how he started this off. And it's like, okay, so everyone makes resolutions with a resolution to change, but lots of times they get to a certain point and they haven't had proper guidance along the way to make whatever change that they're going to make, and they just give up. So I don't believe in resolutions, but I do like how he started out in just working on changing yourself and being a better person every day and serving others. I strongly believe in that. You know, I don't get up every day and say, how many people am I going to help with their health? I think about who am I going to serve? And it might not even be directed at that in and of itself. I had 2 conversations today helping people how to with expanding their network and using LinkedIn and to help them along those lines, because I've learned it from other people. So, you know, it wasn't about getting the hook or anything like that, or enrolling somebody as a customer or getting a new client. It was, what can I do to help you? And, you know, people talking about their struggles and lending a hand because you have experience in whatever it is you're doing and leaving them better.
Sorry, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree. And I resonate a lot with what Carla has said just now. It's really about servicing others, and it's not always about business. It's about, I mean, in my work, you know, we have the business element that's always going to be there, but the majority of my work, I find, is about extending my knowledge in some way that can benefit other people. So through our links through my business, I'm able to offer free services for other people that can, you know, come on board and, you know, help to sort of extend their own prominence and presence within the industry, and forge other networks and connections, you know, where they can then themselves turn that around to lengthen and build leverage for their own businesses, you know, and their own careers, you know. And that's what I find myself doing a lot of the time, sort of offering that kind of guidance to other people, where they don't have to sort of, you know, invest in an outlay, you know, to sort of be connected to us then, you know, in that sense, and so on. And I think by doing so, it sort of adds greater leverage for me, for my company. You know, when people talk about how they got started, you know, it's so nice to hear my name being brought up and our business and how we were able to contribute and being able to encourage those people to forge new careers and so on, and create legacies for their own families. And that's like the domino effect of it all, you know, and that's the bit that really resonates with me. And you know, that you leave each day where other people have had some benefit from you even, and I think it just sort of goes on to sort of bring on a greater lasting effect, you know, and builds greater connections. But I think what's most important about change is purpose, you know, and why you're doing it, you know, and it's you just got to have the right intentions, and you know, it is about service really, rather than being selfish. And I think that needs to be the concentration for most, you know, and that's where you'll find the success, I find.
That's why I like what I do, because I'm helping people to be the best they can be by providing them with new approaches and new strategies, new skills that will help them to deal with different kinds of situations and different sorts of issues. And it's fun. And it's always, I think the most fun about doing live workshops is when you see somebody have that aha moment, you know, when they actually get it. And you know, you see the look on their face. And then you can, you know, sort of pat yourself on the back. Yep, you did it. You actually, yeah, they got it. And when I was teaching in the entrepreneurial program at BCIT, we really helped these young people because most of them were immigrants. and they wanted to start their own business. But it's a minefield. Entrepreneurship is a friggin' minefield. And if you don't have some guidance on how to, sort of maneuver your way through all the mines, it's difficult. And as I said to Chris before we started today, I mean, this was a very steep learning curve for me, because I really, first of all, didn't have a lot of computer background. And secondly, had no business experience whatsoever. And so it was a lot of things that I had to learn, because today you just have to learn different sorts of things. And a lot of it has to do with technology. And if you're not up on the technology, you look old fashioned and, behind the times and so on and so forth. And so people don't think you know what you're doing. So, I mean, I went into dentistry to help people. And now with soft skills, I'm just helping people in a different way with other things that are going to make their lives easier and better so that they can be successful in everything they do. And as I've said before, I think it's very sad that soft skills are not included in most training programs, because, again, name me an industry that doesn't have people. You got people, you're going to have issues. So you got to know how to deal with people. And if you can reach out and help them and support them and encourage them, it's going to be a win-win for everybody. But if you don't know how to do that, then, no one's going to be happy. It's not that hard, but it's just a matter of having some sort of structure to work with, and also to pay attention. Look and see if somebody needs a helping hand. I mean, even, sometimes when I'm on the street and you see an elderly person and they're looking a little lost, or they're looking like they could use a hand to get across the street and not trip off the sidewalk, or whatever. I don't mind doing that. I mean, I'm happy to, a lot of times people say, how come you did that? I said, because obviously they needed some help. So it's a matter of paying attention to who's out there. And if you can lend a hand, why wouldn't you? I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't, but a lot of people just don't pay attention, so they don't see a lot of those things. But I guess because of my healthcare background, I'm always looking, especially at older people who, maybe are walking with a cane or a walker, or, something like this, and maybe they need some help to get across the street. And I wouldn't want them to be hit by a car or, something like that, because that would be devastating. So, it's just a matter of thinking outside the box and thinking past yourself. I mean, we shouldn't.
Think about how you would like to be treated. If you treat people the way that you would like to be treated, you automatically help people.
Yeah, exactly, Carla. And I think that, in the end, usually what goes around comes around. And if you ever, needed a helping hand, I'm sure somebody would help you, because you've always helped other people. So it's just a matter of, what are we doing here in life? What are we contributing to mankind and to our existence and so on? And if you're not doing good things, what the heck are you doing? I mean, to me, I don't understand these people that only worry about themselves and walk around with their cell phone in front of their face, all this kind of stuff. I mean, I'm sorry. If you have to make a call, or if you have to read an email, pull over to the side, because I mean, a lot of times they almost walk into people, or I look at them and I wonder that they don't get killed, that step off the sidewalk and weren't watching for cars because they're looking at their bloody phone.
Oh, there's plenty of videos now about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible. But a lot of people walk around with their phones in front of their face. I don't understand it. If you really need to look at something, stop, pull over to the side, whether you're walking or you're in a car or whatever the heck it is. Don't be doing two things at once, because you're going to get hurt. And it's very scary to me. And I've even seen young mothers pushing strollers and on their phone. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? What are you thinking?
They're not.
Well, exactly, Carla. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, because what you're doing is exceedingly dangerous. And, if you absolutely have to check an email or a message or something, fine, stop and do it. But don't.
Why do you all think that people say that they're going to make changes in their lives? They go for a little while and then they stop. They give it up. Why do you think that happens?
Well, because I
Well,
think it boils back down to them, Carla. And they start being self-centered again. I think life is so much more interesting and so much more rewarding and so much more fun when you are working with other people and helping other people. The rewards are immense. I mean, the women's organization that trained me to be a leadership trainer, I have friends literally from Victoria to New York City. I'm not. That's because when we got together for meetings, we would share information about what we were doing in our centers, what different projects we had, and so on and so forth. And I don't know if I told you this, but when my kids went to Western, which is in London, Ontario, at one of the meetings, I said, okay, when we were having lunch, I said, who's got kids at Western? And so a couple people put up their hand, and one gal that I know in London, she actually basically adopted my daughter and had her over for Shabbat dinners and for the high holidays and different things. And Elisa couldn't believe that, this woman would phone her and invite her over. She was, who is this woman? I said, well, she's a friend of mine through Sasawitso, and
I know.
she's looking out for you. And Mark was adopted by a family in London whose son was a very good friend of his. And Judy used to phone me. This was so funny. She'd phone me and she'd go, I love it when Mark entertains his friends at my house. My kitchen is cleaner when he's done than before he started.
Now that's what I call serving others.
So, but it's just, again, what are you teaching your kids and what examples are you giving them by your behavior? Because, I told you, I grew up very close to my grandfather, who was the most giving person you would ever find on the face of this earth. I told you when he died, it was on the radio in Vancouver, that Vancouver lost a very important person, because my grandfather literally raised thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for bursaries and scholarships. I think I also told you that when I was smaller, I used to go with him, and he knew which families were struggling. And he would buy groceries and just put them on their porch, ring the bell and leave. He didn't need them to know who brought it, because that wasn't what he was doing it for. But he would just, and I just couldn't believe what he would do. He was an amazing little man, and he was barely 5 feet tall. He was this tiny little man. But he was absolutely incredible, because to him, what was really important was to help others. And that was sort of his mission in life, was to help other people.
Well, for me, since we're talking about change today and this week, maybe through the smallest things we do to not only improve our lives, because it's got to start with us first, but also in the lives of others through those very small things. Change don't have to be so dramatic and overpowering and shocking and imposed, like you say, Sandy, but just literally, we can take the steps as individuals to a group of people and say, I am willing to do X, X, and X with you. Not necessarily for you, but with you. Because that John C. Maxwell video that we just saw, losing yourself to service to others not only does not change you forever, it changes them forever. And we can do that not only intentionally, but we can do that in every day, in every aspect of our lives, whether it be in business or in the grocery store. It doesn't matter. If we're willing to stay true to the service of others, it's just like what you said, Carla. Why does change happen to some people and then they don't do the change and then stop doing it? Well, it's a mindset shift. If you're shifting your mind to go this way, but yet you do it the other way after so long, because I will go back to this great quote, and it's one of our favorite ones here at Bringing Humanity Together. I've got to find it here. It's about doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. You can't go wrong with right. And it's like what John C. Maxwell said in that video. Just doing the right thing is the right thing, whether you like it or not. And if you do that, not only do you fill your cup up, but you fill theirs up. It's like what David Metzler said in a video some time ago on LinkedIn is he had a candle, and he took that candle and he's like, pass this candle to everybody with another candle. And what will happen? Hello, Maya. How you doing?
Wonderful.
Good, good. When you take that candle and you pass it off and you give it to somebody else, do you think that's going to change the dynamic of that very flame? No, it doesn't. It just comes duplicatable and replicatable because you're going from one to the next. So, Maya, I have to ask you, um, what does change look like to you from a positive standpoint or negative standpoint? How does that show up to you when it comes to change, and how does that look?
I'm sorry, say it again.
What does change look like to you?
Oh man, humanity. It just looks like us coming together, and being happy for one another and helping one another. I think change is such a big aspect. And sometimes we look at it as so far-fetched, some people. I'm not going to say everyone, but I think it's all possible if we were all giving, of each other, and we look at it as, well, if I treat this person like I would want to be treated, then I would treat them so much better, and I would look at them so much better. The John C. Maxwell teaching was, or someone, I'm sorry, um, if you looked at everyone as if they were a 10 on the forehead, wouldn't you treat them better? You wouldn't give them a lower number. You wouldn't give them something that would be beneath who they are, and then if you look at them that way, will they not in turn at some point, or rather look at themselves that way? And I think that is such a great way to think about it, because so many different people, like, we look at them beneath us for whatever reason, don't know why. We're all people. We might be having a bad day. Everybody has a bad day. That has nothing to do with anything, really. If we look at it as, if, you know what, you're having a bad day, what's wrong? Is there anything I can do to help? You know, that can change their bad day. Just that question, and just asking, and giving them the attention that they need at that point in time will change it all. Definitely. Change is huge.
What's your thoughts on that? What Maya just shared, Carla?
Sorry, I was just clearing my throat. I think that we have to value people at a higher level, and I mean, we're all God's people. We may look different. We have different levels of melatonin in our skin, but we are all God's children. And we need to treat people, like I've always said, the way that we would like to be treated, and we should value people. And there are a lot of people, unfortunately, walking around that don't necessarily value themselves as much as maybe we might value them, just for being who they are and being a part of our life. But if you can value those people at a high level, they may be down here, and you just in valuing them as individuals, you may raise them to a point where they can actually value themselves more, and actually have belief that they can believe in themselves more. And you never know how you can turn somebody's life around just by being a part of it, and valuing them as an individual.
Sarah, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything that I've heard from both Maya and Carla. I think that there are a lot of people that don't have the value within themselves, like Carla said, they don't have much self-worth themselves. So therefore, they're unable to extend that level of service. And maybe because they don't come from that background, or they've not seen much of it themselves, they've not had a helping hand, or been asked those questions, or received that level of support. And I think that's why it's really important to have this type of forum, where people feel that they can come to a place and have that safe space, in being able to receive that support, in order for them for not only to receive, for us to make a difference in their lives, but that for them to be able to extend that and make a difference in their own lives, and being able to extend that further. So it's about that domino approach, isn't it? What can I do for you, and vice versa, and then being able to extend that to elsewhere. But I also think as well that the pandemic, and with certain atrocities that have taken place throughout that period, has allowed for this shift, where people are seeking more of a divine lifestyle then, rather than sort of previous living, which was sort of wishy-washy and no substance and things like that, and and everyone was just living off a credit card, myself with being the exception. But people have more deep-rooted values now, is what I'm saying, and these awful situations have allowed for more kindness, and a more of a different approach and a more humanitarian approach, and you're starting to see the influx of new businesses coming together based on those kind of remits as well, which I think is going to be very, very useful, in time to come.
Well, there's lots of times that you see something in, like, for example, I see something in Chris that he does not see. I see potential in him that he's not seeing in it himself. I just had met a girl yesterday who was in a group conversation with our team, and she was talking about how she had been in a narcissistic relationship for years, and nothing she did was good enough. So her self-worth was like rock bottom. And to be able to associate herself with other people that wanted to lift her up, and people that gave her value and saw the potential that she had and gave her an opportunity to speak her voice and to speak how she felt and to be able to express herself, was just so liberating to her that it's I think of it that it was like a shocker for me, that I was like, I cannot even imagine myself in that kind of relationship. But you know what? Those kind of relationships go on day in and day out. And sadly, the pandemic didn't help any, with people had to stay inside and they were locked down. There were a lot of people that were in abusive situations, male and female, But, like from a business standpoint, I see things in Chris that, he might say something to kind of put himself down. That, well, I don't know what you know about the X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, just stop it, because look at what you've taught me about this over here, that you have far more knowledge about that than I do. And I don't look at him like, well, he doesn't know anything about A, B, and C. But he knows a hell of a lot about X, Y, and Z. And so, but I don't look at him like, well, he doesn't know anything, I look at him like we all have a value to give. And I see potential in Chris that Chris has not necessarily seen in himself. And that's what we need to do to raise people up in this world.
And I am so humbled and honored by that, Carla, because I believe in that truly 110%, because finding that gift that's within others that they may not even know that they have, or even realize that they even can see, that is the greatest gift that we can give to them, because not only are we giving it to service to them, but what happens in turn will also be given back to us if we just allow that to occur.
Well, it goes back to the I help you, you help me, and we help we.
And I think it also has as well to do with what you put out in the universe, sort of thing. If you're living a certain kind of lifestyle with a certain type of mindset, it attracts that, But obviously, if you don't have that self-worth, or if you think negatively all the time, you're going to attract more of the same, So I think that, just adding on to what you said, Carla, each one sort of helps one, so to speak, is the way it should go. And I think we're all here, we're all very different, and we all have different strengths to offer. And, no two people are the same. And I think that's what, sort of helps to kind of makes the changes that we need, by collectively working together and bringing all those strengths, together within the group such as this, where we can go on to achieve great things and create opportunities.
I think it's really great. Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, Maya.
I think it's really, excuse me. I think it's really important that we all have different perspectives, So now we have a blanket of how we can help. We don't have to think one way. And I think that's powerful because of the fact that, we have certain people from one side of the states, the other side of the states, above the states, below the states, wherever you are, we have it to whereas we can all figure out something that's going to benefit the people, and I think it's so empowering because we all have a thought, we all have a willingness, we all have, just the camaraderie to come together to be like, you know what, maybe my idea didn't work. I can talk to Carla or Sandra or Ms. Lewis and go and be like, you know what, we're gonna put our brains together, and it's just gonna multiply such the help that we can actually service the people, because a lot of the times, like Carla was saying, like so many people really need the help, but it's difficult when you're just trying to do it one way, and then they're like, oh yeah, well, no, I don't really want it that way. And then, someone else can be like, but we have another way, because we have so many different ways of doing it. And I think that is amazing because, you never want to leave anyone out. You never want anyone to feel like they weren't heard or we couldn't help or anything to that magnitude. It's just, okay, well, let's figure this thing out together. Let's sit down, have a conversation. If not with me, with Ms. Lewis, or if not with me, Miss Carla, if not with me, Chris gotcha. If not with me, Miss Sandra gotcha. So it's just like we have different avenues. We know different people. We all have different connections, which is a great thing because in retrospect, we don't all think the same. And that's a great thing, but we have a different perspective on the same thing. And that's a great thing altogether.
It is, Maya, and I'm glad you said that because I truly believe there's multiple paths to leadership, multiple paths to growth and thriving, multiple paths to connection, multiple paths to understanding and knowledge, because I truly believe everything's connected to everything else. It's all there. So I even dare to say that once we are in service to others and we do for them and just do it because it's the right thing to do, they in turn, in one way, shape, or form, is going to help us grow, thrive, learn. I will go back to one of the great John C. Maxwell. Listen, learn, and lead. We become better listeners, we become better learners, and then we become better leaders. So I would like to go to some Brian-isms because Brian has been talking via the chat today.
I was going to say, you've been holding on to them?
I've been holding on to Brian-isms. Yes, I have.
Well, that's why we like Brian, because he always has different perspectives.
Yeah.
Where
are you, Brian? If you got time to talk, you have time to type, you have time to talk.
Yeah. He said first, change is past-based and it rarely makes a difference. Then he comes on and says, people are by and large unaware that they live their lives based on others' decisions. What do you guys think of that?
That's too bad. That's really too bad. I think that, yes, different people have different perspectives. And I think sometimes it's good to listen to them because then you have an opportunity to learn something from their perspective. That's why I like Brian on these meetings, because he always has different perspectives. And sometimes it just makes you step back and think, whoa, I never thought of it that way. Yeah, exactly, Carla. And that's why I like Brian on these meetings. I don't always agree with him, but that doesn't matter. It's just, it makes you step back and think, oh, well, I never thought of it from that perspective before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good thing. And the thing about change is this, that by and large, human beings don't really like change. They draw a line in the sand and they like to stand behind the line because they're comfortable with things that they know. But the truth is, it's really healthy for the human brain to be learning new things. Hi, Brian. And change makes you do that. And, you know, your brain is designed to create new neurons as long as we're alive, but only if you challenge it to open new neural pathways. And you can only do that if you're learning things. And it's very important to continue to learn your whole life. And the more we do that, the healthier it is for our brains. And the better we'll be viewing the world and trying different things and so on and so forth. And I think that change is a very important aspect of our lives, and we shouldn't ignore it and we shouldn't not do it. But, you know, again, as I mentioned yesterday, when change is imposed on people, when they don't have any input for it, it's a bit uncomfortable. But if there's discussion and if people have the opportunity to give some input to the change process, then they are far more likely to embrace it and move forward with it. And that's, again, another opportunity to hear other people's perspectives on certain situations. And we should listen to them. We really should, because it's the only way we learn anything. You can't learn if you just talk all the time. So you can only learn if you listen to others. And that's why we should be doing that, as John Maxwell says. But it's also just very important in general to be listening. And yeah, listen, learn, and lead. But it's just, you know, if we're going to help people, I mean, that's why I have the discussion interview with every new prospect. I never just go ahead and put together a program for them. I want to find out very specifically what they are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
We have a discussion and I send them documentation of elements that I feel might be appropriate for the program, but I want them to pick the elements they think are going to be most beneficial to their people. And once we've made a decision on what's going to be in the program, then I create the program and the fully documented syllabus. But I don't decide for them. They decide for themselves because it's their people and they know what's going to be best for them. And then I will create the program. But it's a matter, again, you got to listen. You have to listen to your people so that you can help them appropriately. Because otherwise, and I told you that I subcontract to this company, and the person who makes the programs, the content is good. But what I get from the HR manager every time I've given one of their workshops is, this wasn't what we expected. So, you know, because it's not, every company and every individual is different. And therefore, you've got to listen to them and hear very specifically what they are looking for so that we can deliver it to them and make them happy. If we can do that, we can really help them. And that's why you have to have that discussion interview and listen very carefully and make notes so that you know what they're looking for and you can make sure that you can deliver what they need. So important.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that so much, Carla. That's what I love about you so much. So, Brian, you have some Brianisms for us today. And your first one was really good. Change is past-based and rarely makes any difference. Then you came back and said, people by and large are unaware that they live their lives based on others' decisions. You got to dive deep into both of those things.
Well, change is past-based. People look back at what they did prior and they simply manipulate something to create something new, right? It's taking what's in the past and you add, subtract, manipulate, modify, but it ends up being virtually the same thing that came before. You look at any major product, country, different kinds of inception of stuff. I mean, if you look at the founding of the United States, they considered having a British monarchy or part two. It wasn't until they declared something completely new when they changed the language and created something that wasn't there before. So most change is past-based. It's iterational, new things, but it's bred out of the language people use. And most people don't speak with generative or future-based language. Creating something that's a possibility that wasn't a possibility before. The past-based is they look at what happened and they ask questions that are, frankly, lazy and small and myopic. They're not very big picture-oriented, typical questions, and they get much of the same. Obviously, we all know history repeats itself. Well, there's a reason. There's a reason why. Because we end up more or less creating the same thing, repackaging it and calling something new. It's the same thing. The verbiage changes. And the other one, in terms of decisions, we're by and large products of other people's decisions until we realize that we have lived our entire life more or less based on what other people say we should or shouldn't do, whether that's society, friends, family, you name it. We grow up being told what we should or shouldn't do. We don't actually experience it, right? Until we start experiencing it and developing it and creating it for ourselves, we basically live our lives based on what other people have told us, whether that's looking both ways to cross the street, or whether it's, don't talk to strangers, or, shake hands and be nice, whether it's believing in religion or not. That's all someone else's belief system that we have taken on as ourselves, and we think that's us. But we don't realize that what we're doing is we're living based on other people's ideals, values, and decisions. So, we ask for freedom, we ask for grace, we ask to do things that we want, but we're not even aware that we don't even make choices that are ours.
We ask for freedom to do what we want, but most people don't even have a list.
No, but even if they do ask for freedom, I mean, look, there's a lot of conversation about freedom going on in the last 19 months, and it's kind of a fun, interesting philosophical debate. And I'm all about freedom, but what does that really mean in terms of living your life with freedom? We're very keen at giving up a lot of freedom in our life. Without even knowing it, we give it away. I mean, the United States was basically founded on not having freedom, right? I mean, the people who founded the country wanted to model it on what they wanted it to be, It ended up being about people and so forth, but, look, freedom's interesting, and I'm not talking about freedom of movement and choices and things like that. I'm talking about actual freedom of, can you make a choice for yourself freely? Most people don't, Chris. Most people look back at the past and make a decision. It's already predetermined, right? You go into an ice cream shop and you pick out your favorite ice cream to get. You're not getting it because you want that ice cream today. You're getting it based on what a decision you made when you were like 5. Hey, chocolate's my favorite, so I'm going to have chocolate. We don't even realize that we are already living a life that's predetermined in many ways, and we're the ones predetermining.
Or you make that decision based on society. You might ask your friend, well, what flavor are you having? Oh, I'm going to have raspberry. Oh, yeah, I'll have raspberry too, because you can't make up your own mind.
I mean, people are very good at conformity. People are very good at being told what to do. I mean, it's become gratuitous. We live our lives looking outside on LinkedIn to tell us how to run our business, right? I mean, we wait for the CDC to tell us how to live our life. Thanks, but you're a political hack organization. No, thank you. Like, my point, though, is that we're constantly looking for someone else to validate what we're doing. And I find that to be fascinating, of how quick it is that we say we want freedom, yet the minute we're posed with any challenging question to make a freedom choice, the first thing we do is we go on Google and we look for the answer.
Yep.
You know,
Maya, are
packing for a vacation comes to mind. I have a friend of mine who says, "Oh, I've got all sorts of things laid out, but I can't make a choice of what I want." And I'm like,
okay.
"You're
Maya,
asking
your
the wrong
thoughts.
person," you know?
I
Yeah.
think for the most part, he has a point. Definitely. We're all kind of programmed from birth, to be honest. Our parents were told this was the way to do it. This is how it's supposed to look when you get of a certain age and different things like that. And so I guess I'm one of those ones to break out the box. So um, I decided my life did not end well or end up well and at that point in time by what everybody else said. I had three kids, three kids and a loan, you know, because of everybody else saying, oh, well, you're supposed to marry this one and you're supposed to be with this and you're supposed to do here and stay here and not do anything. And I got rid of the box. I got to the point where I decided I had to do something different because of everything. So now I'm the black sheep. That's fine. I like being a black sheep. Black sheep means freedom to me.
Wear it with pride.
No. It's interesting because now I go about everything that my parents or uh, family tells me to do. I do the complete opposite because I don't want to do what you want me to do. I'm going to do what I want to do for me, my kids, and whoever's around me. I believe in them when nobody else should. I believe that, everybody can have a way of having a decision. Brian, let me ask you the question then. How do we have people understand that they do have the right? And I think that would be a great question to answer because, at the same time, is it like, the self-respecting, I have to have my own right? Or is it, do we give them the opportunity to decide whether they want to have their own right? I think it's just one of those things. It's just one of those really deep things. Sorry, I didn't mean to get too deep. Sorry.
No, not at all.
Change. I'm like, oh no, what did
I
I
think
say?
I think I'd answer it this way. My first reaction would be first, you don't tell people that they're wrong.
Mm.
And I think one of the problems is that we use words like should, shouldn't, need to, have to.
Right.
And we should stop shoulding on ourselves and others.
Yeah.
The point is, I don't know how you should live your life or how Chris should live his life or Carla or Sandy. And frankly, I don't really care.
Right.
That's for them to decide.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what happens is that we end up taking our own sensibilities and looking out at someone else and saying and making a judgment about what's going on there based on how it occurs to us. But we actually have no ass idea what's going on over there. We're making up a story about what it is. And I think, it's fascinating. How do you really get someone to pay attention? Well, first is you have to acknowledge the reality. As in, Carla has a view of the world, and that's the way the world shows up for Carla. And I have to remove the word for her. It has to be that's the reality. Just as you guys love John C. Maxwell. Well, that's his reality. But if I say it's his reality, I'm now separating it and making a judgment. So I take it as that's the reality, acknowledge that, and then I can pose and propose other possibilities. It's always keeping one foot in the reality and allowing them to see other possibilities that might make a difference for them.
Well, I think that we grow up and we're told that you've got to go to college. You have to pick a career that's successful, that's going to make you 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever. And yes, statistically, going to college is supposedly the way to go, but it's not for everybody. And that's not okay. I mean, my son didn't go to college till after he got out of 10 years in the Marine Corps. And he was doing counterterrorism in the Marine Corps. But that was his path, you know? My daughter had her own path, and now she's doing her own thing. College is not necessarily the key. And a lot of people are looking for, what is that easy thing that's going to make me all this money in life? Yet they don't want to take the time and the effort to do it. And it's not necessarily going to college. How many people do you know are in their 40s and 50s and they still haven't graduated from college because they're lifetime students? They don't know what they want to do in this world. But somebody told them that that was going to be your path. And I see so many nurses that do that. They burn out in nursing. And what are they going to do? They're going to strap themselves with $100,000 in loans. And it's like, really? You know, find yourself, do what you want to do. Don't do it because someone told you you should do it. Do what works for you. And if that means starting a business, if that means working, for an organization and doing whatever you want to do, that's you. You do you.
Yeah, it's. I think I've said it before. I mean, robbing people of their failures is robbing them of their future. Like, we put up so many safeguards and guardrails for people so they don't fall on their face. And I think it does a disservice for people. It does a disservice for companies. It does a disservice for society. And I'm not purporting that we should, leave people behind. My point is, you have to allow them to take risks and fail. If you put up all the answers and give them the answers to the test, they won't fail and they don't learn anything and nothing happens and it becomes blah. But again, though, Carla, I mean, if people want to stay in school for 12 years and mount up student debt, cool, good on them. I have 5 college degrees. I enjoyed college. It was fun because I enjoyed learning.
Well, I'm talking about people that, yes, they go to school, but they're looking for something, but they have no clue what they're looking for.
Well, if they go to India, they might find it.
They can go anywhere pretty much. I think it's the experience. I'm sorry, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it's the experience. The experience does give you a sense of what you like and what you don't. And when you get that, it gives you a better sense of where you are supposed to go, or what would actually fuel, you to keep going. So that's always a thing. I went to several colleges, and yes, no, I didn't finish not a near one of them. But at the same time, I did learn that wasn't for me.
But there are a lot of people that would think lower of you because, what do you mean she didn't finish college?
You know what? And I love it. And I love it because I look at it like I tried at least.
What'd you study in school when you were there?
Okay. I was an English major first, and
cool.
Then I went to EKG school, then I went to hair school, and then I did a whole bunch of stuff. But I did it. I tried it. I wanted to see if that was something that could be for me. Everybody else said, "Oh, well, this path makes good money." I had 3 kids at the time. I needed to make some good money, and so it was just like,
you should do this. You should do that. That should thing,
Look, they could say shoulda, coulda, woulda, nutta, and it ain't gonna work for me. And you know what? I think we should take out the should. The should not should not apply. A lot of the times everybody has a mindset or maybe an idea for everyone else's life. But you don't even know every aspect of the life to even give them this decision. Like, you couldn't tell me anything. I had 3 babies. And did you even know who I had to deal with in dealing with my 3 kids? So it was just like, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, Well, I read a lot of books, and I like a lot of history and non-fictional books. But in many ways, there's no such thing as a non-fictional book. Every book is a work of fiction, religious or otherwise. It's a work of fiction. Outside of maybe a book that has some statistics of death and numbers and so forth, even that can be manipulated. The point, though, is we always think that the truth resides in something else. But it's your truth, my truth, everyone else. I'm going to read a book and you're going to read the same book, and we're going to come to completely different conclusions about the book. So it's really fascinating when we look at it. And I know, Chris, you love John C. Maxwell. And he likes to talk about himself and how awesome he is. But it's his version of the world. It's his version of work. That doesn't mean it's the version of work. It's his way of how it's worked for him and what he sees. And I'm just saying, when we share what we say, we should do this or you should do that, we're only giving our own predisposed, belief of what it is, our own experience or what we've been told, right? I mean, I can only share with you my experience. You can take it and agree, disagree, compare, contrast, whatever. I mean, try it on for your own self. That's where it becomes, I find it to be frustrating with people now, is that even if you did share your opinion, the minute you're going to share your own experience, someone's going to say, well, that's not true. Really? Were you there? Did you experience it like I did? And that's where, Chris, I know you guys you like to say, put yourself in someone else's shoes. Well, frankly, you can't do that. I can only learn based on what someone tells me about their experience. But I don't live in Eastern Europe. I don't know what it's like to grow up in Eastern Europe or Asia or Latin America or Canada or anywhere else. I've been to all these places, but I'm not there. So I don't have that experience. So for me to say, yeah, I understand, I get it, in many ways is actually doing a disservice. It's actually kind of putting up a barrier. It's like Chris, if I say, yeah, I understand what you've gone through. Yeah, you hear that on the conscious level, but unconsciously, you're like, you have no ass idea what I dealt with growing up. What are you talking about? And you actually create separation. It actually does a disservice. So the I understand is good in certain circumstances, but a lot of times it actually does worse harm than good.
Yeah. So let's go around the room and do final thoughts and call to action. And I will start with you, Miss Sandy.
Well, today I actually agree with you, Brian. I think that trying to make people do things that they don't want to do or telling them what they should do, people need to decide for themselves what works for them. And I think sometimes that takes a little exploration and a little time and so on and so forth. And you can try things and you thought that was going to work and maybe it didn't, and whatever. I mean, I have a lot of education because I also like learning things. And for me, I did my science degree, and then I did dental hygiene, and then I did my education degree, and then I did all the courses towards a master's in public health. And, but it's just a matter of what. And for me, the main thing that I like to do in life is I like to help people. That's something that I've always liked to do. And I think it's an important aspect of my life and who I am. And so that's what I do. But it doesn't mean that I would tell other people they have to do that. You have to enjoy that. You have to get feedback that makes you feel good about helping other people. And it's just something that I've always done and always wanted to do. And I guess part of that was learning it from my grandfather, but it also has great meaning for me. And I mean, my siblings are very different from me, and that's fine. I mean, my sister's a lawyer. She's now retired, but she practiced law for a long time. My brother is a dentist. He's retired now too, and he practiced dentistry for about 35 years. But, they have very different lives now than I do. And that's fine. I mean, it's up to them. It has nothing to do with me. And even though I'm the older sibling, I don't tell them what to do. I've never told them what to do. I don't feel that's my place or anything like that. It's the same thing with my kids. I encourage them to pursue things that they were interested in. And my daughter's a dietitian because that's something that interested her. And Mark has a very interesting background. He has an honors degree in microbiome and biochem. And he also has a degree in business from the Ivy Business School at Western. And now he works in tech, which is very funny because he has no tech background, but that's where he works now. But he does a lot of project management. And Mark is also a person who likes to help other people. And so that's basically what he's doing with what he does. And it's just a matter of, yes, you have, as a parent, you have to set an example to a certain degree. But in the end, you have to let your kids find their own path. And I think that as long as they find something that they enjoy and they're, doing well with it. I mean, my daughter is so busy. It's unbelievable. She has a contract with Hormel and she sells products to long-term care homes. She has a website for nutrition counseling and she does private clients, but she also has a doggy nutrition website. And so she works with vets and pet owners, teaching them how to feed their dogs appropriately, whatever. And, it's just, I look at this and I look at her and I think, yeah, well, whatever. But you see, her aim in life is also to help people. It's something that she really likes to do. And she's doing a good job. But because she lives alone, she got a dog. And that's her child. Well, that's how she treats the dog. Apple is like her daughter.
Yep. So here is Graham's call to action. He says, my call to action is to study future-based language more. And that is from him. So, Maya, what's your final thoughts on your call to action? You're on mute.
Sorry. Okay. So my call to action is what my vision is. And that is basically to always offer the most information possible so that people can make their own decisions. A lot of the times we're not sure as to what it is that we truly want to do. But when you give options, you give people the satisfaction of picking something for themselves and not being told, what to do or how things should look, from that point on. And then, for me, a good bit of my jobs, or the most fun jobs that I have had, was always commission based, meaning the more excited I was about a product, the more money I made. But if I didn't really care that much about the product, then it was more so like, you didn't make no money today. Yeah, well, I mean, crap happens. So it's like but your actions are going to speak louder than words. So that gives you those opportunities. And so a lot of the interviews that I do a lot of them are, to that degree, being, active and personable about the product that you're going to sell, and having the commissions. And I mean, if you do really well and you're excited, I mean, got a nice big check coming home, just saying. But I love that. I love it gives people more of, the reason of doing anything. Not saying that it's a great reason, but I'm just saying it nevertheless, we all need a couple dollars. We need to live at some point. So it is what it is, it happens. So my call to action would definitely be to, give as much information as possible, help people, if they need the help. I'm here. Hey, I will talk your ear off for about 3 hours. Ask Chris.
That is absolutely true. Brian, what is your final thoughts and call to action, sir?
Thoughts and call to action are: this is it. This is how life has turned out. and life is perfect exactly as it is.
And I love that about you. You keep it simple. And I've learned so much from you, and I've learned from so much from every single one of you. Um, my final thoughts and my call to action would be simply this. You determine your future. You determine your path. You determine your choice. No one else does. You're not defined by your past. You're not defined by your present. You're defined by who you are and what you stand for in that present moment. Because, see, what might be present to them may not be, like what Brian said, the reality and everything. So, my call to action is simply do what works best for you, but yet still take what's good for you in the model of the world that you work under, and then go outside of it, maybe just for a brief moment, and see the other side and understand that reality for somebody else. So again, I'm so humbled and honored to have you guys on yet again today. Thank you, Brian, for your Brianisms yet again. You're striking a good chord. And yes, Graham, thank you so much for your call to action, because your call to action, of course, my call to action is to study future-based language more, and that's a good one to have. So, Graham, thank you so much. So, everyone, we'll see you tomorrow for Conversation for Humanity. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one, everyone.